Today, I returned to Greenwich after 10 years. As the black Bentley pulled up in front of the waterfront mansion, I gazed through the window at the house. Nothing had changed. The white columns, the perfectly manicured gardens, and beyond them, the yacht marina. 10 years ago, I died at that marina. Well, to be precise, I almost died. My name is Catherine Vanderbilt Hamilton. Or rather, it used to be. Now, I'm Catherine West. Born as the only daughter of the Vanderbilt family. Graduated from Wellesley College and married to James Hamilton, a prominent investment banker in Connecticut. And 10 years ago, I nearly drowned by my husband's hand. The driver opened the car door, but I didn't get out immediately. I'd waited 10 years for this moment. There was no need to rush. I pulled out my lipstick from my handbag and slowly applied it while looking in the mirror. Chanel Rouge Allure, the deep red shade James hated. That color looks cheap. Women in our family never wear that. When he said that, 26-year-old me nodded and threw the lipstick away. Now, at 36, I wear this color every single day. I stepped out of the car. September in Greenwich was still beautiful. The scent of ocean and grass mixed together, and in the distance, yacht masts glittered in the sunlight. "Ma'am, should I come in with you?" Tom, my driver, asked, but I shook my head. "I'm fine, Tom. Wait here." My high heels clicked on the gravel path as I walked toward the gate. A black Balenciaga suit, a Hermes Birkin bag, and a Patek Philippe watch on my wrist. An outfit the me from 10 years ago couldn't have imagined. 10 years ago, when I left this house, all I had was the wet clothes on my body. I rang the doorbell, and soon the door opened. "Yes? Who are you?" The moment I saw the woman who opened the door, I smiled inside. Amanda, the woman who was James's secretary 10 years ago. Now she'd become James's wife. She didn't recognize me at all. Of course not. The Catherine from 10 years ago and the me now are completely different people. 10 years ago, I had shoulder-length brown hair and always wore a shy smile. I rarely wore makeup, and my clothes were mostly pastel-colored twinsets or modest dresses matched with pearl necklaces. Now, I have a platinum blonde bob cut to my chin, with sharp eyes visible beyond my sunglasses. My body, toned over 10 years in London gyms, was confident even in a suit, and my nails were always perfectly manicured. I'm Catherine West, CEO of West Investment. I have an appointment with Mr. James Hamilton. Oh, yes. Just a moment. I'll let my Mr. Hamilton know. Amanda stammered, clearly still not used to the title, husband. I was led into the living room. Nothing had changed. The French antique sofa, the Venetian glass chandelier, and the 18th century French painting above the fireplace. Things my mother-in-law had collected over her lifetime. But one thing was different. The family photo that used to hang above the fireplace was gone, replaced by a wedding photo of James and Amanda. "Ms. West?" I heard James's voice coming down the stairs. I slowly raised my head. 10 years. This was the first time I'd seen his face in 10 years. James was still handsome. Even at 45, his crisp gray suit fit him well, and his salt and pepper hair looked distinguished rather than old. But I know what's hidden behind that perfect exterior. "Hello, Mr. Hamilton. Nice to meet you," I said as I removed my sunglasses. The moment James saw my face, I didn't miss how his expression froze. Not even for 1 second. He recognized me. You are." James's voice trembled. The documents in his hand fell to the floor. "Oh, I apologize for the late introduction. I'm Catherine West, founder and CEO of West Investment. We're headquartered in London, and I'm looking to expand our investments in the eastern United States." I pulled out a business card and placed it on the table. "I'm particularly interested in the investment banking sector. I found your company, Hamilton and Associates, to be an excellent fit. That's why I proposed this meeting today." What is this? Honey, what's going on?" Amanda approached. She looked confused seeing her husband's pale face. "Oh, excuse me. I'm Catherine West. I'm here for a business meeting with your husband." I extended my hand to Amanda. "You're Mrs. Hamilton, right? Nice to meet you." Amanda took my hand with a puzzled expression. "Yes, I'm Amanda Hamilton. But my husband didn't mention he had a meeting today." "Oh," I contacted him suddenly. "It was urgent business. I smiled and looked back at James. Right, Mr. Hamilton? I emailed you yesterday. Said I really wanted to meet today. James still couldn't speak. Sweat began to form on his forehead. Honey, are you okay? Amanda asked with concern. Ah, yes, I'm fine. I'd like to speak with Ms. West in my study. Honey, could you bring some tea for our guest? Sure. As Amanda headed to the kitchen, James pointed toward the study. This way, please. I followed him into the study. As soon as the door closed, James grabbed my arm. Catherine, how did you let go? I said coldly, shaking off his hand. Here, please call me Catherine West. Catherine Hamilton died 10 years ago. By your hand. James's face turned even paler. I never thought you'd be alive. Of course not. You believed I was rotting at the bottom of the ocean. I looked around the study. Nothing had changed here either. The mahogany bookshelf, the leather chair, and the view of the yacht marina through the window. Right there, on that night 10 years ago, I fell into the water. Have a seat, Mr. Hamilton. We have a lot to discuss. I sat in the chair across from his desk. James pulled out a chair with trembling hands and sat down. Catherine, Ms. West, please, believe me, that night was an accident. An accident? I scoffed. You pushing me over the boat railing was an accident? Not throwing me a life vest when I fell in the water was an accident? And going home instead of immediately calling the Coast Guard was an accident? I was in a panic state. Seeing you fall into the water shocked me so much. Stop lying. I pulled an envelope from my handbag and tossed it on the desk. Here are the text message records between you and Amanda. From a month before my accident. Quite interesting reading. James opened the envelope, and his face turned ashen. If only she was gone, we could be together. Don't worry, I'll find a way to solve this soon. Once we get the life insurance money, we can start fresh. I slowly recited the texts. I'd memorized every word. Still want to claim it was an accident? James opened and closed his mouth repeatedly. How did you survive? You're curious? Fine, I'll tell you. I crossed my legs and recalled that night 10 years ago. September 15, 2015. Our 5th wedding anniversary. Actually, there were strange signs that morning. James was unusually kind. Honey, I have something special planned for tonight. I'll leave work early. James almost never called before leaving work. He always worked late, and even on weekends he was busy with golf or business meetings. Really? What's the plan? It's a surprise. But I know you'll love it. Remember our first date? The sunset cruise? Let's go out tonight, just the two of us. I was happy. For the past few months, James had paid almost no attention to me. We lived in the same house but saw each other maybe once or twice a week. Oh, he's trying to restore our marriage. I naively thought that. That afternoon, I went to the salon. Got my hair styled, got my nails done. A soft pink. James's favorite color. I came home and opened my closet. After debating what to wear, I chose a white summer dress. Similar to the style I wore on our first date. Looking in the mirror, I put on my pearl earrings. A wedding gift from my mother-in-law. These earrings have been passed down through the women in our family for generations. Catherine, you're part of our family now. That's what my mother-in-law said. I loved hearing that. Having lost my parents young and been raised by my grandfather, the word family was special to me. At 6 p.m., James arrived home. Wow, you look beautiful. You look especially pretty today, James said, wrapping his arm around my waist. Looking back now, that was the last affectionate gesture. Let's go. We need to set sail before sunset. We headed to the yacht. The 40-foot yacht James had bought 3 years ago. It was named Catherine's Dream. You're my dream, Catherine. Let's sail through life together like this yacht. That's what James said when I first saw the yacht. How romantic it sounded. Back then, we set sail at 7 p.m. to catch the sunset. The sea was calm and the sky was turning orange. I poured champagne and prepared the cheese platter James loved. Cheers. James raised his champagne glass. To our 5 years and to the next 50. Cheers. I smiled and clinked glasses. The champagne was sweet. James said he'd specially ordered it. French vintage. After finishing 1 glass, I felt a bit dizzy. I'd always been a lightweight, but this felt worse than usual. Honey, I feel dizzy. You okay? Seasick? Have another glass. Alcohol might actually help. James poured more champagne into my glass. I drank without suspicion. Halfway through the second glass, the world started spinning. James, something's wrong. My legs gave out. The glass in my hand fell and shattered on the floor. You okay? Let's go outside, get some fresh air. James took my arm and led me to the deck. Cold wind hit my face, but the dizziness got worse. My vision started blurring. James, hospital. Need to go. To hospital. Shish. James covered my mouth. And when I saw his eyes, I knew. There was no love in those eyes. No fear, no worry. Just cold calculation. I'm sorry, Catherine, but I don't have a choice. What are you? You were a good wife. Really. Obedient, compliant, never caused problems. But that's all you were. You're too boring. James's words slowly reached my ears. Amanda is different. She's passionate. She understands me. And most importantly, she really wants me. James, we can get counseling. Counseling? Ha, Catherine. Always so sweet till the end. But I don't want counseling. I want a fresh start. James dragged me toward the railing. Your family's trust fund, you know about that? The $5 million your grandfather left you. You loved me, so you put my name in your will. And the $2 million in life insurance. Plus this house. No, please, you can. Take the money. Just let you live? Then divorce? No, Catherine. If we divorce, I only get half the trust fund. Plus I'd have to pay alimony. You're so sweet, you'd definitely demand a lot. I tried to grab his arm, but I had no strength in my hands. The boat rocked a bit. You were drunk, leaning on the railing, lost your balance. A tragic accident. Everyone will believe it. I'll play the devastated husband. Please, save me, please. The ocean is vast. September water is cold. You can't swim because of the sleeping pills. They probably won't find your body. That's even better. Easier to cry at the funeral. And then he pushed me. The cold September ocean water swallowed me. Terror, betrayal, and realization hit all at once. He never loved me from the beginning. Underwater, I looked up. I could see James's silhouette. He was looking down at me. For just a moment, a really brief second, it seemed like he hesitated. Whether to throw me a life vest, whether to reach out his hand. But he shook his head. And I heard the yacht's engine. He was leaving me there. The water was so cold. Connecticut's September ocean was already preparing for winter. My dress absorbed water and became heavy, my limbs wouldn't obey me. The sleeping pills in the champagne made my consciousness fade. This is how I die. That's what I thought. 26 years of life, and this is how it ends. So meaningless. Water entered my mouth, my nose. My lungs were burning. Grandfather, I'm sorry. I was such a fool. Grandfather had opposed my marriage to James. I don't like that man's eyes. Too calculating. Catherine, reconsider. But I was in love. Or rather, I believed I was in love. Grandfather, James is a good man. He truly loves me. Eventually, grandfather gave his consent. And a year after the wedding, he passed away. Catherine, live happily. That's my only wish. Those were grandfather's last words. But I wasn't happy. My consciousness faded. And then, I saw lights. There's someone here. Quick. Someone's voice. Strong hands grabbed me. I was pulled out of the water. Breathe. Breathe. Someone performed CPR on me as I lay on the deck. She's alive. She has a pulse. I vomited water. I tried to open my eyes, but my vision was blurry. Are you okay? Can you hear me? We need to get you to a hospital. A young man's face appeared. An Asian man, looked about 26, with a worried expression. Hospital. No. I grabbed his clothes. If I go to hospital. Heal. Again. What are you talking about? You almost died. Police. No police either. Please, don't tell anyone. But, please, hide me, if you want, to save my life. And I lost consciousness again. When I woke up, I was in an unfamiliar room. A small bed, old furniture, and through the window I could see a harbor. Fishing boats were docked, and I could hear seagulls. You're awake? The young man came in with a glass of water. The same person who'd saved me last night. Where am I? A fisherman's lodging in Newport, Rhode Island. Where I live. He introduced himself as Mark Chen. A Chinese American who'd inherited his father's fishing boat. I found you last night. floating in the water. At first I thought you were dead. But you had a very faint pulse. Thank you. You're my lifesaver. Of course. But are you sure you don't need a hospital? You could get hypothermia, pneumonia. No. Please, don't tell anyone. That I'm alive. Mark looked confused. I told him everything. How James tried to kill me, how he wanted the life insurance money, and how if I appeared now, I might be killed again. Then, we should call the police. There's no evidence. My word alone isn't enough. Besides, James is a skilled lawyer. He has countless connections. In Connecticut, the Hamilton family has tremendous influence. I'd probably be labeled a liar. But, your rescuing me could be evidence. But that's all. James would definitely say this. My wife accidentally fell in the water, and I was in a panic state and failed to contact the Coast Guard. But there was absolutely no intent to murder. Mark thought for a long time, then nodded. Okay, stay hidden here for now. But eventually, you have to go to the police. I know, but not now. Not until I'm ready. I hid in Mark's lodging for a month. During that month, I watched my own missing person news on television. Catherine Hamilton, 26, wife of prominent Connecticut investment banker James Hamilton, is missing after a yacht accident. Mr. Hamilton stated they were celebrating their 5th anniversary on a yacht when tragedy struck. James appeared on screen. His eyes were bloodshot red, his voice trembling. My wife was my whole life. We were watching the sunset together. Then the boat rocked in. She lost her balance. I tried to grab her, but if only I'd been faster. Perfect acting. A reporter asked, Mr. Hamilton, why didn't you immediately contact the Coast Guard? I was in a panic. At first I tried to find her myself. I jumped in the water, but it was too dark. That's when I came to my senses and called the Coast Guard. If only I'd been more calm. James even cried. Bastard. I clenched my teeth. The next news was even more shocking. The Hamilton family has offered a $100,000 reward for information about Catherine Hamilton. Anyone with information about the missing person. James's mother appeared on screen. Catherine was like a daughter to me. Please help us find our daughter-in-law. My mother-in-law was also crying. I felt sick. My mother-in-law was probably sincere. She really did cherish me like a daughter. But she doesn't know the truth about her son. 2 weeks later, the Coast Guard made an official announcement. Despite extensive search efforts, we have not found Catherine Hamilton's body. However, it's been 2 weeks since the accident, and considering the September water temperature, survival probability is virtually zero. Official search operations conclude today. A month later, I was legally declared dead. James held a grand memorial service. They buried an empty coffin in the Vanderbilt family cemetery that my parents had established. Catherine was always a bright and warm person. The 5 years with her were the happiest time of my life. Now that I've lost her, I don't know how to go on living. Watching James's eulogy on the news, I laughed. A bitter laugh. And 6 months later, James remarried Amanda. Many say it's too soon. But I believe Catherine would understand. She would have wanted me to be happy. Amanda was there for me during my darkest time. We overcame grief together, and in that process, we came to rely on each other. Perfect storytelling. Watching the television, I made a decision. Revenge. Someday, definitely. But for that, I needed money. I needed power. I asked Mark a favor. Can you send me abroad? Anywhere. Just not the United States. Why? Now you can come forward and reveal the truth. I can be a witness. No. It's not time yet. I need to prepare. Enough to completely destroy him. Mark said his relative ran a Chinese restaurant in London. I could work there and start fresh. But you don't have a passport. And, please make me a new identity. Mark hesitated but eventually helped me. I know someone who does that kind of work. But it's dangerous. And illegal. I know, but I have no choice. 2 weeks later, I had a British passport under the name Catherine West. Place of birth Manchester. The birth date was the same as mine, but the surname was completely different. Be careful, and, when you come back someday, contact me. Mark said. Why are you helping me like this? You don't even know me. Mark hesitated for a moment, then answered. My younger sister was beaten to death by her husband. 3 years ago. She called the police several times, but they always dismissed it as a marital dispute. Then one day that man pushed my sister down the stairs. She hit her head and died instantly. Mark's voice trembled. That man claimed it was an accident. That during an argument between spouses, he accidentally pushed her. Self-defense. In the end, that bastard got probation and walked free. Tears formed in Mark's eyes. So I can't just pass by people like you. I couldn't save my sister, but at least I can save you. Survive. And make that bastard regret it. What I couldn't do for my sister. I hugged Mark tightly. Thank you. I'll never forget this. When I succeed, I'll help people like you. I promise. January 2016, I arrived in London. I had almost no money. The $1,000 Mark gave me was all I had. Mark's relative, Mr. Wong, ran a restaurant in London's Chinatown. He hired me as a waitress. You speak English well, so serving customers won't be a problem. 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Minimum wage, okay? Yes, thank you. I lived in a small attic room above the restaurant. A tiny room without proper windows, but I didn't complain. During the day, I worked at the restaurant. At night, I studied at the London Library. What did I study? Investment, finance, stocks, real estate. Everything about making money. Having majored in English literature at Wellesley, I was weak with numbers. But I had to learn. To beat James, I had to fight in his language. Every night, I sat in the library until it closed at 10 p.m. Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, The Economist. I read every economic news article. Terms I didn't understand, I wrote in a notebook. When I got home, I looked them up online. Hedge fund, derivatives, short selling, leverage. Unfamiliar words gradually became familiar. 6 months later, I got a job at a small cleaning company. Cleaning office buildings in London's financial district. Why quit the restaurant for cleaning? That job's easier. Mr. Wong asked. There's something I want to learn. What can you learn from cleaning? I smiled and answered. The world. From 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., I cleaned investment banks and hedge fund offices. And I read the documents they left on their desks. Investment reports, market analyses, transaction records. I photographed everything with my phone camera and saved it. Was it illegal? Probably, but I didn't care. They treat me like I'm invisible. They think the cleaning lady knows nothing. That's their mistake. One morning, while cleaning a large investment bank CEO's office, I saw a memo on the desk. TechVision Inc. Sell before next week's earnings announcement. Inside info Q3 losses expected. I photographed that memo. When I got home, I searched for TechVision. It was an IT company listed on the London Stock Exchange. If that information is correct, the stock price will crash after the earnings announcement. I pondered. But I don't have money. I can't short sell. That's when I thought of options trading. High risk, but you can make big profits with little money. I invested all the £800 I'd saved. I bought put options on TechVision. A week later, TechVision's earnings were announced. As expected, Q3 losses were reported. The stock price plummeted 30% in one day. My £800 had become £4,000. Oh my God. I stared blankly at the computer screen. This is possible. But the joy was brief. Soon fear washed over me. This is insider trading. It's illegal. If I get caught. But nothing happened. I was too small an investor. Nobody noticed. I need to be careful. Never use inside information again. But I realized something. How to understand the market and how to seize opportunities. During the day, I worked at a cafe, studying the materials I'd photographed from the cleaning job. At night, I took online courses and earned finance-related certifications. 1 year later, I had saved £5,000. And with that money, I started stock trading. Legally this time. Market analysis, financial statement research, industry trend analysis. I applied everything I'd learned. The first 3 months were failures. I lost £2,000. But I didn't give up. I analyzed the failed trades. What went wrong, how to improve. And I started again. This time, I succeeded. £3,000 became £6,000. £6,000 became £10,000. 2 years later, I had saved £100,000. And I quit the cleaning job and got hired at a small investment consulting firm. Your resume is unusual. Almost no work experience, but tons of certifications. CFA, FRM, and this. Series 7? The interviewer said, I love learning and proving myself. Looking at your portfolio, you had a 40% return last year? Is this real? Yes, that's my personal account. You can verify it. The interviewer looked surprised. You're confident. All right, let's try it. 3-month probation period. Prove your skills. At that company, I learned even more. How to deal with high net worth clients, how to create complex investment products, and most importantly, how to read people. Investment isn't a numbers game. It's a psychology game. My mentor, senior consultant David, said, you need to figure out what the client wants. Money? Security? Adventure? Glory? Once you know that, you can create the perfect portfolio. I took his words to heart. 1 year later, I became the company's top salesperson. Catherine, you're amazing. How do clients only gravitate to you? A colleague asked. I listen. Genuinely. There was actually one more secret. I understood my clients' anxieties. Because I'd experienced those anxieties myself. The heart of someone betrayed, the fear of someone who lost everything, the desperation of someone trying to start over. I understood them, and they felt it. 3 years later, I left that company and started my own. West Investment. At first, it was just a small office and one employee, me. My first client was a retired teacher. She wanted to invest the £50,000 she'd saved her whole life. This is the first time I've seen a company run by a young woman. Will it be okay? Trust me, I'll treat your money like it's my own. 1 year later, her £50,000 had become £70,000. Oh my God, Catherine. You're a genius. She recommended me to her friends. Word spread. 2 years later, West Investment had grown to 10 employees and £50 million in assets under management. But I was different from other investment firms. I took risks. I jumped into markets others avoided. In 2019, when all investors were avoiding the Chinese market, I dove in. It's too risky because of the US-China trade war. My partners said, that's exactly why it's an opportunity. Buy when everyone's selling. I invested heavily in Chinese IT companies. 6 months later, trade negotiations concluded, and the Chinese market rebounded. Our return that year was 80%. The Financial Times requested an interview. What's the secret to success for 30-something female CEO Catherine West? The reporter asked. I almost died once. I smiled and answered. After that, nothing scares me. Losing money? That's nothing. I almost lost my life. After the article came out, investment inquiries flooded in. 5 years later, in 2024, I was living in a penthouse in London. A luxury apartment overlooking the Thames. The monthly rent alone was £10,000. I looked in the mirror. There was a 35-year-old woman. Platinum blonde hair, sharp eyes, a perfectly maintained body. Wearing a Chanel suit and a Cartier watch. The shy Catherine from 10 years ago was nowhere to be found. It's time now, I said to myself. Time to go back. That evening, I hired a private investigator. The most expensive detective agency in London. I want you to investigate someone named James Hamilton. He lives in Greenwich, Connecticut. His financial situation, business, and personal problems. I want to know everything. How deep should we dig? All the way to the bottom. Don't worry about the cost. 3 months later, a 500-page report arrived. I read that report all night. James's investment bank looked successful on the outside. But internally, there were serious problems. In 2021, he made a large investment in a cryptocurrency fund. But when the market crashed, he lost $20 million. To hide that loss, he manipulated the books. Created fake transaction records, filled the holes with profits from other funds. Classic Ponzi scheme. Perfect. I laughed. He's been digging his own grave. Even more interesting was his marriage. Amanda was spending James's money like water. Shopping in New York, European trips, luxury spas. Her credit card bills exceeded $100,000 every month. James and Amanda fought often. Neighbors testified they'd witnessed loud arguments multiple times. And James was having an affair with his new secretary, Jessica Lee, a 26-year-old woman. History repeats itself. I scoffed. The last page of the report also detailed the $2 million James received from my life insurance. Most of that money was already gone. Amanda's shopping, business losses, and the purchase of a Manhattan apartment for Jessica. Perfect. I closed the report. Now it's my turn. The next day, I sent an email to James's investment bank. This is Catherine West, CEO of West Investment. I'm interested in investing in your company. I'd like to propose a meeting. A reply came from James's secretary. Mr. Hamilton has agreed to a meeting. How about this Tuesday at 2 p.m.? No, I replied. I'll visit Mr. Hamilton's home in Greenwich personally. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. I know the address. A moment later, a reply came. Understood. Could you please confirm the address? That's not necessary. I know that house very well. I sent that email. Did James understand the meaning? He'll find out later. That night, I couldn't sleep. I'd waited 10 years. I'd prepared for 10 years. And tomorrow, finally, that moment arrives. And so today, I came here. After 10 years. You asked how I survived? I looked at James and continued. A fisherman saved me. A man named Mark Chen. You thought I'd be found as a corpse, but luckily, I survived. Then why didn't you come forward? Why for 10 years? Because there was no evidence. It would have been my word against yours. And you're a skilled lawyer. You probably would have made me look like a crazy person. I crossed my legs and continued. So I waited. Until I became stronger than you. Until I could completely destroy you. What are you talking about? James, how's your company doing lately? James's face hardened. You look like you don't know what I'm talking about. Shall I tell you? I pulled out another stack of documents from my handbag. Here are Hamilton and Associates financial statements for the past 3 years. The real numbers, before the book cooking. How did I get them? Your CFO submitted a resume to my company. When we made him an offer, he gladly cooperated. James jumped to his feet. This is illegal. Illegal? Says who? The man who tried to murder his wife. I laughed coldly. Sit down, James. We're not done yet. James sat back down with trembling legs. I came here today for 3 reasons. First, to let you know I'm alive. Second, to acquire your company. Third, I paused. To return to you exactly what you did to me. Slowly, very slowly. What? West Investment has decided to purchase 51% of Hamilton and Associates. I've already negotiated with 3 of your company's major investors. Once they learned about your book cooking, they readily agreed to sell their shares. That's impossible. It's my company. Your company? It's not just yours anymore. And soon it'll be completely mine. I placed a contract in front of him. Sign here. Then you can at least keep your CEO title. Under my supervision, of course. Or, I pulled out more documents. These documents will go to the SEC, FBI, and the New York Times. Book cooking, investor fraud, and attempted murder of your wife. Choose. James's face turned completely white. You're insane. Insane? Yes. But you made me this way. I stood up and walked to the window. James, 10 years ago when you threw me into the ocean, you gave me 2 choices. Die, or become stronger. I turned to look at him. I chose the latter. And now, it's time to pay the price. Knock knock. A knock on the door. Come in. A young woman entered. Jessica, James's new mistress. Mr. Hamilton, your wife called. She said it's urgent. She's in the lobby now. What? Amanda? Why? I don't know. But her voice. She sounded very angry. I smiled inside. Amanda had taken my advice. James, you should go. Your wife says it's urgent. The elevator doors opened and Amanda appeared. Her face was twisted with rage and she held a stack of papers. James, she shouted. What is this? What the hell is this? Honey, calm down. This is the office. Calm down? How can I calm down when you bought an apartment for Jessica? All the employees in the lobby froze. Honey, wait. Let's go outside. Go outside? No. Your employees should know too. What kind of man our husband is. Amanda threw the papers at James. Purchase contract for an apartment on 72nd Street. In Jessica Lee's name. $10,000 transferred every month from your credit card. What is this? Honey, it's a misunderstanding. That's a misunderstanding? This is a misunderstanding? I read all your text messages too. Honey, can you come tonight? I love the new apartment. Thank you, honey. Is this a misunderstanding? The employees started murmuring. And you know what's really funny? This is exactly what you did to Catherine 10 years ago. Having an affair with your secretary while married, spending money behind your wife's back. James's face went pale. How? How did I know? Someone told me. Woman-to-woman advice. Amanda pointed at me. Ms. West. She told me. All eyes turned to me. Oh, sorry. I did give her some advice. I smiled. As a woman, I thought I should help another woman in the same situation. You. James glared at me. Me? I just told the truth. If someone had told me the truth 10 years ago, I wouldn't have ended up in the water. In the water? What are you talking about? Amanda asked. Oh, you don't know yet? 10 years ago, James's first wife Catherine Hamilton drowned in a yacht accident. It was called an accident, right? But actually, shut up, James shouted, but it was too late. The employees had already heard everything. Actually, it was attempted murder. James pushed his wife into the water. For the life insurance money. And to remarry you, Amanda. Amanda's face turned pale. What do you? I have all the evidence. Video, documents, witnesses. Everything. And next week, it'll all be published in the New York Times. The lobby went completely silent. Now do you understand, Amanda? You were just like me. Just his tool. The only difference is, I almost died, and you're still alive. Amanda looked at James. Is this true? James couldn't answer. Answer me. Did you really try to kill your ex-wife? Oh my God. Amanda staggered. I'm married to a murderer? She turned and ran to the elevator. Honey, wait. James tried to follow, but I grabbed his arm. Let her go. She has the right to know the truth. The right I wasn't given 10 years ago. James glared at me. This was all planned. From the beginning. Of course. I prepared for 10 years. You think I'd come here without a plan? I looked at the employees. Everyone, let's end here for today. Starting tomorrow, we'll return to normal operations. And don't worry, this company will continue operating. More transparently, more ethically. 3 months later, the external audit results came out. As expected, Hamilton and Associates had committed serious book cooking. Over 3 years, they'd hidden $5 million in losses and made false reports to investors. The SEC launched an investigation. The FBI joined too. Based on the evidence I provided, Mark's video, text message records, and my sworn statement, attempted murder charges were added. James had to step down as CEO. I became the sole CEO. I also changed the company name. No longer Hamilton and Associates, but West Financial Group. And James, the indictment decision has been made. My lawyer said, securities fraud, book cooking, investor deception, and attempted murder. If convicted, minimum 20 years. I stood on the courthouse steps hearing this news. Reporters swarmed. Ms. West, what do you think about your former partner being indicted? It's very regrettable, but justice must be served. There are rumors you have a personal grudge against Mr. Hamilton? I looked straight at the cameras. There's no personal grudge. I simply revealed the truth. 10 years ago, I was Catherine Hamilton, James Hamilton's wife, and he tried to kill me. Camera flashes erupted. The reason I survived wasn't luck. It's because I fought. And today, that fight is over. I entered the courtroom. James sat in the defendant's seat. His once perfect appearance was gone. Gaunt face, disheveled hair, shabby clothes. He looked at me. His eyes were full of hatred. But I didn't care. The trial began. The prosecutor presented evidence, cooked books, false reports, and victim statements from investors. The defendant systematically deceived investors for 3 years. He hid millions of dollars in losses and reported false profits. And 10 years ago, he attempted to murder his wife. James's lawyer tried to refute, but the evidence was clear. The defendant did not immediately request rescue after his wife fell into the water. Also, 1 month before the incident, he exchanged messages with his then-secretary Amanda Johnson, containing words like, life insurance money and fresh start. The final witness was called. Please bring Catherine West to the witness stand. I walked to the witness stand. I was sworn in and sat down. The prosecutor asked, Ms. West, what happened on the night of September 15, 2015? I took a deep breath and began to speak. The dinner on the yacht, the sleeping pills in the champagne, James's confession, and the moment I was pushed into the ocean. He tried to kill me. For the life insurance money and my assets. And to remarry another woman. Do you have evidence? I submitted Mark's video, and the text message records between James and Amanda from that time. James sat with his pale face lowered. Why did you hide for 10 years? To gather evidence, and so that when I reappeared, I'd be strong enough that he couldn't hurt me again. So you built a successful investment company? Yes, but that wasn't the only purpose. I wanted to help other women not experience what I went through. The trial continued for 3 weeks. And finally, the verdict came. The jury finds the defendant James Hamilton as follows: securities fraud, guilty. Book cooking, guilty. Investor deception, guilty. Attempted murder, guilty. James grabbed his chair as if he might collapse. The sentence is 25 years. 25 years. 5 times the years I spent with him. Leaving the courtroom, reporters swarmed again. Ms. West, how do you feel right now? I looked at the cameras and said, I'm glad justice has been served. And I want to say to all women who've experienced what I did, don't give up. You can rise again too. Like me. That evening, I stood in front of that house in Greenwich again. For a different reason this time. A foreclosure notice was attached. Amanda had left the house after the divorce, and the bank had seized it. I bought that house. All cash. I entered the house. It was empty. All the furniture had been removed. My footsteps echoed in the space. I went to the study. And opened the window. I could see the ocean. The yacht marina. 10 years ago, I almost died there. But now, I'm standing here. Alive. Stronger. Victorious. My phone rang. It was Mark. Catherine, I saw the news. Congratulations. Thanks, Mark. It's because of you. Is it over now? I looked at the ocean and answered. Yes, it's over. The revenge is. But now the real beginning starts. What do you mean? A new beginning. Helping other people. That's a good idea. I hung up and took one last look around that house. Then I walked out. Closing the door, I whispered. Goodbye, past. Now it's time to look to the future. Getting in the car, I told the driver. To New York. And schedule a meeting with an architect for tomorrow morning. I'm converting this house into a women's shelter. Yes, ma'am. The car started. I watched the house get smaller in the rearview mirror. Until it disappeared completely. I looked ahead. A new road was unfolding. Epilogue. 2 years later, West Financial Group had become one of the fastest-growing investment firms in the eastern United States. $10 billion in assets under management, 200 employees. I made Forbes's Most Influential Women Under 40 Inches list. But I'd started something even more important. I established the Fresh Start Foundation, a nonprofit organization to help women victims of domestic violence. Legal support, financial independence education, and assistance transitioning to new identities. Giving back the help I'd received to others. The Greenwich House became a women's shelter. It could house 20 women and their children at a time. Today is the foundation's first workshop. 30 women gathered. I stood before them. Hello, I'm Catherine West. I told them my story. The story of almost being killed by my husband, of rising again over 10 years, and of achieving justice, not just revenge. You can do it too. I looked at them and said, you're not weak, you're just in a difficult situation. But that situation can change. You can change it. A young woman raised her hand. But, I have nothing. No money, no education, no connections. Neither did I. I smiled and answered. When I was drowning in the ocean, all I had left were the wet clothes on my body. But now I'm standing here. I approached them. The most important thing isn't material. It's will, the determination to rise again. And practicing that determination every single day. Start small. Today, leaving the house. Tomorrow, finding a job. The day after, receiving your first paycheck. One step at a time, slowly. After the workshop ended, a woman approached me. Ms. West, hearing your story gives me courage. I'm going to sue my husband. I held her hand. I'll support you. And if you need anything, contact us anytime. Our foundation will help. With lawyers, counseling, job placement. You're not alone. That evening, I returned to my Manhattan penthouse. I stood on the balcony looking down at the city. The lights were twinkling. I pulled an old photo from my handbag. It was the last photo taken with James on the yacht 10 years ago. I could see myself smiling happily. I didn't know then, What would happen in a few hours? But now I know. That night, Catherine Hamilton died. But Catherine West was born. I started to tear the photo, but stopped. No, I said to myself, I shouldn't forget this. This is what brought me here. I put the photo in my wallet. Not erasing the past, but remembering it. So I can be careful that it never happens again. The next morning, I went to the foundation office. A letter lay on my desk. The sender was anonymous. I opened the letter. Handwritten words appeared. Dear Ms. West, I don't know you, but I saw your story on the news. I was also beaten by my husband. For 5 years, reporting to the police was useless. My family said, endure it. But seeing your story gave me courage. Yesterday, I left home. With my 2 children, I was scared. I don't know how to live going forward. But I know one thing. I can start again too. Like you, thank you, for surviving, for fighting, for telling your story. From an anonymous survivor. Reading the letter, tears came to my eyes. This was it. This was why I endured for 10 years. Not just to punish James, but to give hope to other women. You can do it too. Like me. I held the letter to my chest and looked out the window. Sunlight was pouring in. It was a new day. And I knew, now, truly, my life had begun. Not a life of revenge, but a meaningful life.